Final Fantasy VI is a unique and special game. Perhaps not as famous or as celebrated as its immediate successor, the story of the Returners versus the Empire from the sixth installment of this legendary franchise remains one of the greatest video games ever made. It is a timeless tale, filled with memorable and lovable characters, universal themes, and some of the most gorgeous music ever composed. My name is Drew Kreisman. I am one half of the Final Fantasy Weekly podcast, and these are my picks for the top 10 moments of Final Fantasy VI. This video contains spoilers. You have been warned. Let's start with some honorable mentions. The Forever Rachel story still makes us emotional and comes with an all-timer piece of music from Nobuo Uematsu. Shadow's dreams are a clever and unique way of giving us a mysterious backstory. And Daryl's memory is a stunningly beautiful version of a tragedy of a lover who never came home. Number 10. Gao meets with his father. Gao is just a silly wild child who likes shiny things, misunderstands formal language, and loves anyone who will share a meal with him. There's no way the team behind Final Fantasy VI could insert a heart-wrenching scene that so perfectly explains why he loves his new friends, right? Well, they dress him up, teach him to behave, and do everything they can to put his best foot forward. And Gao gives it his all, but the old man, who might be Gao's father, rejects him in a somber moment of rare lucidity. Gao is sad, but not forlorn. He's got a new family, who love him for who he is, and he awoos them all. Number 9. Figaro Castle transforms. What's a brilliant young monarch to do when a fascist clown barges through the doors, tries to take his guests prisoner, and sets his castle on fire somehow? Initiate the castle's transformation sequence and have it sink into the desert sands, of course. King Edgar Figaro has long pretended to ally with the Empire in order to protect his people, but with the rescue of Terra, he's ready to openly join with the Returners and stick it to Castal. And as he sends his people to safety, Locke's hero theme kicks in and the three of them leap from the castle to Chocobo back, making their escape while Kefka's left kicking sand. Figaro Castle, nowhere to be seen. Number 8. The Siege of Doma. There are few acts in Final Fantasy history quite as despicable as Kefka poisoning the water supply at Doma, an early indication of just how twisted his mind is. This moment resonates through the rest of the story, especially for Cyan, who sees his kingdom and family lost in one fell swoop. It's horrifying to behold, even in old 2D graphics. It is, as Shadow says, inhumane, unfathomable, but absolutely unforgettable. Number 7. The Phantom Forest and Train. Sabin, Cyan, and Shadow wander into a mist-filled forest replete with creepy music and an abandoned train. Suddenly, we're in a horror movie where our heroes can't just fight off their foes, but have to run for their lives because there's nowhere to hide. It's a spooky adventure including running across train cars, atmospheric music, and eating food prepared by ghosts. But after suplexing the Phantom Train and securing our hero's release, we learn it has another stop to make. Cyan recognizes the spirits boarding the train as citizens of Doma, including his wife and son. There's little time for more than hurried goodbyes, professions of love before the train departs. Cyan watches them go, and he will stand there as long as you let him. Number 6. Terara Becomes an Esper. What draws the mysterious young woman to the frozen Esper in the mines of Narshe? What connection do they have? Why can she use magic naturally when no one else in the world can? After repelling the Imperial Clown, keeping fascists' hands off the frozen Esper, Terra and the magical creature form a bond, and Terra changes form. When next we see her, she is unconscious, watched over by Ramuh, an Esper who can pass as a human. Terra's exploration of what it means to be human, what it is to find love, how love can keep us going, even after the end of the world, is sparked by this moment, when she learns that she's an Esper. It is simultaneously beautiful and frightening as the rest of our heroes witness the transformation, and all they can do is worry for their friend. Number 5. The Opening. 1,000 years ago, the War of the Magi raged between humans and magical beings known as Espers. The stage is set for Final Fantasy VI as a disembodied impresario explains the history of the world and the current state of affairs. The visuals give us stealth introductions to some of the main characters on all sides of the conflict and make for a brilliant window into this unusual steampunk-inspired world. The music flows through a few appropriate tones as the high drama subsides, and we focus in on a young woman, marching through the snow alongside her Magitech riding captors, ready to begin our journey of awakening. Number 4, the end. Some endings are purposefully ambiguous, leaving us wondering what actually happened, allowing debate to continue on for years. Final Fantasy VI's ending goes in the opposite direction, wrapping everything up in a nice little bow, giving us deeply satisfying conclusions to each character's story and the wider tale of good versus evil. Once again, the music plays a key role, giving thematically brilliant conclusions to the arcs of each character while also giving us the sense that, thanks to the actions of our heroes, the world will rebuild and move on. Number 3, the opera. A play within a play. The opera of Final Fantasy VI is an ambitious bit of storytelling. Imagine the audacity it takes to walk into your composer's office and let him know that you need the first act of a performable opera for an important part of your story. Then imagine having full confidence that not only will Nobuo Uematsu deliver, but that he will do so to such an extent that this music will be performed by full orchestras and choirs all over the world for decades to come. Beautiful and memorable from an audio-visual perspective, the opera also sits at the center of the themes of Final Fantasy VI. The unnamed writer suggests that there are no winners in war, and Celeste discovers that there is more to life than violence. Number 2, Kefa destroys the world. This is still shocking. Bad guys don't win. They don't take over the world and or destroy it. We stop them. That's how these stories go. But not this time. When Kefa breaks the balance by moving the sacred statues of the gods, everything changes. The world is reshaped, recolored, and re-rendered in the image of a mad god of magic and nihilism. While we do, of course, eventually manage to defeat him, this was a bold narrative decision and one that helps it stand out amongst many in the genre. Not even Sauron achieved what Kefa did. And number 1, Celeste on the Island. Final Fantasy is many things, but if it is just one thing, it is hope in the face of despair. It's honestly a bit strange to choose an optional scene for the top spot, but I can't think of anything that more embodies not just what Final Fantasy VI is about, but what the series has always been about, than Celeste losing all hope before finding it again deep within herself. Believing that everyone in the world is gone, watching the only family she has left slowly slip away, one of the strongest characters in the story climbs to the top of a mountain and throws herself into the sea. But when she washes ashore, she sees a scrap of cloth that reminds her of a friend. And at the slightest hint of a possibility that she might have one person left in the world to fight for, she goes from having no hope left to championing hope for the entire world.